Hill in the gun with Hill to his right. Play action to the right. Steps up, throws over the middle. He's got Thornton. Caught it! Junior Thornton. Split. 6. Touchdown. Midway.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hill, right side, finds a seam. Hill, 20. Hill, 10. Hill, touchdown. Midway, no flags. Midway takes the lead by more than one score. And how about the Big Uglies inside?
Now, here's David Smoak.
Here we are, next to the last week of the Texas high school football season. We started this back in late August, the opening week, non-district, then district, and here we are in the semifinals in every classification other than six-man. Class 1A, they have their championship games set. We'll show you those in a little bit later in the show, and a couple of nuggets about the teams that are live and playing for a state title. We'll do that at the end of the show. We always start with this. First of all, thank you for joining us on 365 Sports, Smoaky.com, my high school website, and also we cover the state of Texas. This week we feature Harmony and a great story with Jeremy Jenkins and the Eagles, and then also College Station. They've been good from almost day one, and a longtime employee of the district in Stoney Pryor. We'll hear from him on College Station and that run they're on yet again. Some of the games from last week, we always pick out 5 or 6 of them that stood out. How about Duncanville and Westfield? Spring Westfield is one of the few schools in the state of Texas who can go head-to-head with what they have with size and strength and numbers and talent of Duncanville. And they took Duncanville down to the end, but Duncanville wins, and they advance 28-21. We'll have all the schedule for the semifinals a little bit later on. Denton Geyer and South Lake Carroll knew that would be competitive, but eventually Geyer, Jackson Arnold, their quarterback, with all that amazing talent, explosiveness, they separate and beat a good South Lake Carroll team 45-21. I went to McLean Stadium Friday after we do our talk show from 3 to 6 on 365 Sports to go watch DeSoto and Harker Heights. Jerry Edwards, who we featured earlier this year from Harker Heights down in Killeen, really good football team. The first play of the game, former Connolly Cadet star from Waco, Trey Wisner, a UT commit, took a little pass out in the flat and went, I think, 75 yards for a touchdown. Raw, incredible, dynamic speed. And then DeSoto stopped Harker Heights. They scored on a short field, and that game was over pretty quickly. But what a great run for Harker Heights, but they lost 60-24. Vandegrift playing in the state semifinals against Katy after beating Austin Novosad, the Baylor committed quarterback in Dripping Springs in a great game, 27-24. Longview and Timberview, 37-21, the Lobos, and Taylor Tatum, 4 touchdowns. He's broken that school record for most touchdowns in a season, and he continues to be a battering ram for them. He can break it long. He can also pound you. John King and the Lobos in the semis against Aledo. Argyle and Melissa on a collision course, 2 schools that were really, really good in 4A for the longest of time. Argyle's made that trip up like South Lake Carroll many years ago. They've gone up the ladder of each classification. They are both in the semifinals in 5A Division II in their first year. How about Port Neches Grove beating Marshall out of Fort Bend? Great win for them. Port Neches Grove, I'll always remember them back what they did in the 60s and 70s and their 29-21 win against Marshall. Bernie, this is considered, I guess when you look at indexes from Jerry Forrest and Pigskin Prep and others, as a slight upset, beat Cal Allen 49-19. The Greyhounds, who I played against when I was at Universal City Randolph, lost to them in the pouring down rain. I'll never forget 7-0 my senior year. Bernie pounds Cal Allen, and now they'll play Chapel Hill with that young team with Jeff Reardon, with all those sophomore star playmakers, and they have more than that. And here they are in the semifinals against each other. Remember we featured Malakoff in Grandview. Grandview had always had the upper hand. Malakoff got him. It was back and forth, and then Malakoff took the lead again, then separated to beat Grandview by 12. Great win for Jamie Driscoll and his program. Franklin and Columbus down to the last seconds. Bryson Washington, the Baylor commit, runs it in for a touchdown on 4th down and goal to beat Columbus in a classic 24-21. And then Harmony, who we featured in a little bit with Jeremy Jenkins, I mean, this one here blew me away. 36-22, they beat Newton. That is a final. We'll get into some of the 1A games a little bit later on when we go over the schedule. Also, Toller was averaging 50-something points a game. Crawford, who we featured, 2 or 3 weeks ago, 14-7. They led that game 14-0. Got a pick at the end of the game to seal it. Great win for the Pirates. Timpson rolls past Cooper. Terry Bussey, what a great year he's had. And we're about to hear more about him in a minute. And so then we'll get to 1A, 6-man football and their championship. A couple of nuggets on that a little bit later on in the show. Now, a couple of graphics, historical perspective. Here are 6 coaches in their first year at their specific school. Now, the asterisk to the left of the name between the logo, great job, Jacob Wilson, with this graphic. It looks beautiful. First-year head coaches in the semifinals. Now, the asterisks are coaches in their first year ever as a head coach. They've been coaching, but none of them had ever been a head coach. Tony Salazar replacing the Hall of Fame legend and 3-time champion Westlake, replacing Todd Dodge. Reed Heim at Denton Geyer with what he's done. In his first year, we featured them back a few weeks ago. Stoney Pryor, who joins us in a minute from College Station, longtime employee of the Bryan College Station area. He's in his first year as head coach, and right below him is his former head coach, Steve Huff. He has Decatur in the semifinals against, well, they're going to take on Carthage. So that's what we have with all of this. They're going to take on China Spring. And right below, Steve Huff and Decatur, who won a state title at College Station, went to 2 state championship games. Tyler Beatty, he right there at China Spring in his first year as a head coach. And then Jeremy Jenkins, who we'll interview in a moment, at Harmony, has been a head coach at Tenaha and Mount Pleasant. 6 coaches first year at their specific schools, for them, their first year ever as a head coach in high school football. Now, real quickly, here are the finalists for the Dave Campbell's Mr. Texas Football Award. Last year, China Spring quarterback Major Bowden won the award. This year, these are not in specific orders of any value or votes, but Cash McCollum, first year at China Spring. Here we go again. Last year, it was Major Bowden. He's up for that award. Geyer quarterback Jackson Arnold, committed to Oklahoma. Austin Novosad from Dripping Springs, committed to Baylor. Ruben Owens of El Campo. His nickname is the Unicorn, and he's at least now committed to Louisville, but you wonder about the coaching change with Satterfield going to Cincinnati, if that changes any at all. Dalton Brooks has been a hammer for a really great run at Shiner. John Tate Cook at DeSoto. He, of course, is going to play at Texas. Then you have Draylon Miller, Silsby, with a great run this year in 4A. Colton Vosick from Westlake, committed to Oklahoma. Then when Oklahoma started sliding and Texas started to kind of have a little bit of momentum at the end of the year, he flipped back near his hometown. He's now a UT commit. David Amador, here's a heck of a player right there. He, of course, has had a great run as well. And then Terry Bussey will highlight Timpson. We mentioned their win. Timpson, the Timpson Bears, and head coach Kerry Thurwanger, Terry Bussey, a part of that list as well. So those are the finalists for Dave Campbell's Mr. Texas Football, and of course that honor will come out sometime very soon. When we come back, we're going to hear from a couple of head coaches, Jeremy Jenkins at Harmony, and Stoney Pryor, longtime district. In fact, we got a little nugget about him outside of football. He'll join us from College Station, and this is the Statewide High School Football Podcast, brought to you by Smoaky.com, 365 Sports, and of course our great sponsors as well.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
We are in the semifinal round in the state of Texas high school football playoffs. Now, Class 1A, six-man football, they're set for the championship. They'll have their games next Wednesday at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, but the semifinal round and a trip to the state championship on the line this week. And one of the great stories in Texas high school football has been the run by Harmony, the Eagles, in the semifinals against Polk this week, and we're joined by their first-year head coach, Jeremy Jenkins, who has done a remarkable job after his time at Tenaha. He's been at Mount Enterprise. He's been assistant coach at Cayuga and Hooks and elsewhere. Jeremy, first of all, I got to start off, and you can use this against Greg for as long as you ever want. So I called him, and I don't know what it was, but I knew there might be a connection. And then I called him today, and I said, "Is Jeremy your son?" So you can use that against him when you guys get together after a state championship during Christmas, okay?
That's good stuff there.
He told me not to share that with you, and now he'll never return my call ever again. So tell me what you told your brother, Greg, after you started 0-4 about what you learned about your offense.
Well, he called. Everybody was checking on me, like, "Are you okay? Are you going to be okay?" And I was like, I know he didn't believe me. I was like, "We're fine. Like, we have talent." Like I keep telling people, the game's about players. It's not about coaches. I knew I had every piece. We got a big line, tight ends, receivers, the kids were bought in. I was like, "We're good." Superintendent was coming, I was like, "Just wait till the playoffs hit. We're going to peak in the playoffs and you're going to see there's no worries." And we knew 7-on-7. We went to the Final Four in 7-on-7 in state. And I don't care what anybody says. You can make fun of it. It matters. I had a quarterback that could put it anywhere he wanted it and kids that could catch it. And we knew we were going to run the ball. So we knew we had every piece. I told him, "Man, we're just good. You're going to see." I told everybody, we have a good football team, so we never panic.
Did you change your offense after the start, or did you kind of slowly transition to what you're doing now?
No, we were flex bone. So my very first day here, the starting running back from last year, a big running back, transferred to Gilmer. So I didn't know if I had enough backs. So we went to the flex bone. We did it. That's all we did. We were flex bone. And then after the first week against Hooks, it was bad. And I just went back to the offense that I knew. So we started from scratch. So we go to White Oak. I mean, complete scratch. Everything's different. We go to what we're doing now, which is kind of a tight end spread system. So we go to White Oak, and we have like 2 plays in, so everything was new. Now, we kept a lot of the pass game in, and then by Beckville, we had about 3 plays and blah, blah, blah. Our best play in the playoffs, we didn't even have in until the playoffs, right? We're still actually getting better. I mean, I promise you we're not making this up. The offense is still we're finished now with it, but we started from scratch. So it was all totally predictable. And then the big thing, too, we had, even on the defensive side of the ball, we had kids in the wrong spot because we just didn't know, right? I mean, only like 2 or 3 coaches stayed. So it was all predictable. And it just worked out perfect. It's just the perfect time to peak.
Well, and you have, and then you got one of the losses was the Hooks, who you then beat in the playoffs. The other 2 losses to teams that we know are really good in Beckville and DeKalb with what Buddy Griffin's done. White Oak didn't make the playoffs, but we know that's a very incredible rivalry between the 2 teams. So I got to tell you the truth. When I saw you start 0-4, I know who you are, what you've done before. So I was just watching it first year. But it really did not catch my attention. Honestly, did not catch my attention until you beat West Rusk in the playoffs. That's when I was like, whoa, this is real. And I know that's much later than most anyone else may have thought. And then you beat Newton, who can line up with most anybody with their talent, and you beat Newton. How important and what is, I guess, the adrenaline rush of confidence in your program right now?
I mean, it's got the whole community on a bus, to be honest with you. Like somebody asked me yesterday, I think when it really clicked, because we were 0-4, I kept telling the kids, we're going to win the region. That's our goal. But really clicked probably about after we beat Hooks, and the coaches really started seeing it. We started seeing Newton on film. We saw West Rusk, and we're like, we're just as good as them. And then I think it really filtered down to, it wasn't just Coach Jenkins saying it. It was all the coaches were saying, okay, our goal now is to win the state. It transferred after we watched Newton on film. We're like, well, this team's supposed to win state, win our region. We're like, well, heck, we're as good as them. We could see it on film. We're as good as them. And we quit talking about winning the region. And this is like before hooks. We're talking about winning a state championship, because we don't have goals that are fairy tales. We see that we can do this. And I think once it really filtered into the coaches and the kids really started believing. And, I think that was the turning point.
I know Tim Russell was there before you, had a couple of double-digit wins, but for the most part, Harmony's playoff success has been minimal. And a lot of it is also, and Jeremy, you were at Tenaha, so you know that, and what Tommy Allison did at Cayuga, and what with Dangerfield and Jefferson and Gilmer and all those areas, they're just loaded with speed. And that's probably something that Harmony's always had to kind of overcome. How have you done that?
Man, that is such a great question, and I'm kind of blunt and honest. I think we've coached really well on both sides of the ball, because there is a speed. West Rusk, Dangerfield, and Newton. Oh my goodness, West Rusk was so good. They stressed us with their speed so much that we knew, like, every week offensively, we put our linemen in a different spot to break a twin. We have different plays, different formations. Against West Rusk, we went empty. Who would have thought Harmony would go empty? Like, we're empty versus West Rusk. We're throwing the ball more than we've ever thrown it. So we really feel like we have to gain some kind of advantage. The defense has carried us most of the year, but now that the playoffs hit, the offense is really helping the defense, because we are going on 15-play drives over and over and over. We're probably averaging an extra 25 to 30 plays offensively, because the defense is stressed when you play teams that we've been playing. Hooks has a Division I back that has offers. Mm-hmm. West Rusk, oh my goodness, they have 10. Wascom has 10 guys faster than our fastest guy. Wascom is still good. If people are sleeping on Wascom, they're unbelievable. But we just feel like we have to keep people guessing a little bit, and then our quarterback's just phenomenal. He's phenomenal. People don't understand how good he is. Every pass he throws is right in the center of the chest everywhere. He's really quick. He's really tough. He makes the whole thing go. But, I think our defensive guys stress fundamentals a little more than the teams we're playing, and I think that helps us. And then we're really, 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 really comfortable throwing the ball. We're really comfortable running the ball with power, doing a lot of read plays. So I think our balance offensively is what's really kind of changed us, the way we're throwing and catching it better.
So let's go to some places where you have learned how to win. And I know that you were on a staff at Hooks, that your brother told me this, with Coach Goen, Matt Nally, who's having a great run again at Melissa. Obviously, Tommy Allison, Greg, you've been at Cayuga when they made a run. Of course, the great teams that they had with Traylon Shedd and Malcolm Kennedy. Tenaha, always successful. You were up in McKinney. You were at Melissa. You've kind of had some of these programs. How much has that rubbed off on your blood?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. China Spring, I think I lost in the state championship there probably 07, 08. I think that has been my biggest influence, because their kids are similar to here, mm-hmm. right? You see, like, they're not built on being faster now. I'm not saying poor pitiful me here or China Spring. There's talent there, but it's built differently, right? It's built through fundamentals and intelligence, right? Because even when we made that run there, we're not outrunning people. It's such an advantage to be able to outrun people, call the wrong play. At Tenaha, I was able to call the wrong play and go to the house, right? That is a huge advantage, right? When your guy can just make something out of nothing. But I think China Spring, just seeing how the attention to detail that Mark Bell had there, just seeing the way, which really affected me as a coach. I think my biggest role is to keep the coaches locked in. When the coaches are locked in, the kids are locked in. And that's what Mark did too. He kept his focus on the coaches and not the kids, because coaches lose focus. They just do, especially in a long season. And, our coaches have stayed focused, because that's what I see. That's been my biggest influence. And even KU, when they made those runs, there's 5 Division I kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, coaching's different when you have, when you have elite speed and power. I'm not taking anything away, but it's different. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to get your guys in space in the right way. Like when you're out athleted, you have to do every little tweak you can get, and you have to be built on fundamentals. I mean, all the way on fundamentals.
Jeremy, what's it like right now? You mentioned a little bit about the excitement, harmony, and the school district and the town. Obviously, right outside of Gilmer. I hate it when they say Gilmer Harmony, by the way, when they give a score, because I was in East Texas long enough. I know they attach teams to certain areas. Like Tyler, Chapel Hill, it's Chapel Hill.
Right.
But what's it like right now? You're still playing, and some of the teams around you that used to play all the way into deep December are not?
It's kind of satisfying. Like, once again, I'm going to be honest again, my first day here, 2 starting players transferred to Gilmer.
Yep.
It's pretty satisfying that, part of the reason they left was to get exposure, and Harmony's getting a little more exposure now. So, I mean, that's satisfying to me. Probably the biggest thing is 0-4. Everybody here was still supporting me, supporting my family. So it's real satisfying to me to give back to them, because I didn't really understand how special this was going to be to the community. Like, it's really, really, really special to the people that have been here forever. So it's really special to me to see how excited that the kids and the whole community is, because I think it's kind of broke a mental barrier that they could do this. The furthest they ever been here is the 3rd round, and now if we win Friday, we're playing for a state championship, and I feel like I owe them just giving me the opportunity to bring my kids here. I have 3 boys in school that are thriving here. My wife coaches here too. I like paying them back for giving me the opportunity to come here, because Coach Russell left an amazing program here. This isn't a rebuild. I'm just kind of piggybacking off what he did.
One more thing. I know you have practice, and we surely don't want to get in your way. You've mentioned, I know there's other players who are making plays, and every week I bother you guys with Player of the Week and all that. And then I started seeing Boston Seahorn. And again, there's others who are making plays on both sides of the ball. Boston Seahorn. I think there was a Seahorn that was a quarterback at Harmony like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe Jason. So how good and how much has Boston Seahorn meant to your program?
Well, I keep using the word morph. So our starting running back against Dangerfield, he got concussed in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty sure, we feel like we're going to beat them. But the running back went out there. Our running back, our speed guy, went out, and we just got him back last week. So I had to start running Boston more, and the offense changed. Like, he was getting 5-7 carries, and he's been getting 25-30 carries. And we just stumbled into him. Like, he weighs about $155, little bitty guy, but he has power. He has vision. Like, he's a running back, but he is a precision passer. But we didn't know he had the power and the toughness inside, because he's just so small. We're running quarterback power and ISO right down your throat 30 times a game, and then he's throwing the ball. So he is what's making this go. It is not Coach Jenkins. It is having a quarterback that is a pro style precision passer, and has speed, and has power, and has heart, and to getting the interceptions, and to making 8 tackles. This is about Boston Seahorn leading this group, not Coach Jenkins.
All right, last question. Poth, I know a little bit about their history. They're in the semifinals. Is it like looking in a mirror when you watch what they do?
Yeah, they run the exact same offense, the exact same way. Their quarterback's run it 25 times. They're really spreading you out to run him. That's what we're doing. We're spreading it out, and if you spread out, he runs it inside, and if you don't, we flip it out. And they're doing the same thing. But I've been telling people all week, I'm scared of their coaching staff. That's what scares me there. The kids are never in the wrong place. They never do the wrong thing. They're fundamentals. I know their coaching staff's going to have a wrinkle, because the kids are the same. Like, their kids, our kids, we're just the same team. But they're very, very fundamental. And we know we're not going to be able to scheme them.
Well, you're in the semifinals. I can't imagine what it's like. And, maybe windows with all the shoe polish or on the cars and the banners and all of that. And you also gave me this note, Brian Mock, who I've known a little bit. He's a youth minister, right? And he's also your defensive coordinator?
Yeah, he's the smartest, most hardworking coach I've ever been around. We would not be here without him. I came on last year, and he had been the DC forever, and I really didn't think I would retain him as a DC, right? I mean, you just kind of, let's start from scratch. I didn't really know. And then I met him one time, and I'm like, oh yes, this is the guy. And we're opposites, but we fit perfect. I mean, it's crazy. He's our coaching styles are opposite, but I think I make him better, and he makes me better. It's just been a perfect fit. I've never been around a coach better than him, and I just really can't say enough, because the line is so fine here. We wouldn't be here without him. We wouldn't be. We lose one kid anywhere, right? Because we've been playing some fantastic teams. It is a true team effort, is what makes it special. On to the coaching staff, to every kid. We need every single piece.
Well, there had been a couple, 2 or 3 9-win seasons at Harmony. They won 11 games in 2017, then 10 the following year. You mentioned Tim Russell. And now here you are in the semifinals. It is a great story. Jeremy, thanks for your time. Good luck against Polk, and hopefully you'll be at AT&T Stadium. I know you got to focus on today and this week in the semifinals. I got to tell you, it's one of the great stories. I've been covering East Texas, even though I've moved to Waco in 2010. I'm still all over it. One of the great stories and building stories and success stories in the 42 years I've watched what's happened in that part of the state. Congratulations so far. Keep it going, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. You got to go to practice now. Jeremy Jenkins, head coach at Harmony, against Polk in the Class 3A Division II semifinals. When we come back, he's the first-year head coach at College Station. In fact, you saw that list we showed. 6 coaches who are playing this weekend. 6 of them are in the first year at their school. 4 of them, their first year as a head coach. Jeremy Jenkins and also Decatur Steve Huff, of course, had been coaches elsewhere, head coaches elsewhere. But one of them is a first-year head coach who's been incredibly loyal to that area of Bryan College Station is Stoney Pryor, the first-year head coach at College Station. They're in the semifinals, and he joins us next on the 365 Smoaky.com statewide high school football podcast.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation. Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
It's been a great run at College Station High School. They went in, I guess they opened up back in 2012, started playing varsity football soon after that. Steve Huff was their lone head coach for the longest of time, won a state championship, went to another state championship game. He's now in the semifinals in Class 4A at Decatur. And Stoney Pryor, his first-year head coach at College Station, longtime part of that district. In fact, on Steve Huff's staff as well, joins us on the Statewide High School podcast. Stoney, you take and you get the keys to the car, so to speak. I mean, you are very much a part of the engine that ran College Station and their success. What about how you look at where you are now compared to when you were handed the keys back when Steve decided to leave for Decatur.
Coach Huff did a great job establishing the culture at this school and building the foundation. And I was so privileged to be a part of that from the beginning. The situation here has been really good. We had a lot of coaches stay. Coach Huff took a few coaches with him. We had a coach retire. It's so exciting to see what they're doing up in Decatur and how well they've done this year, and certainly pulling for them this weekend. But through the season and through the playoffs, of course, we've talked about a 1-0 mentality every week, and each series, each play, each game. And so we're hoping to do that again this week, go 1-0.
So when you take over something you've been a part of, and there's a transition that seems like it's pretty seamless, and it was obvious that you would be the next guy. I think I even saw where the superintendent or somebody mentioned that you would be the next person. Was there any temptation to just leave it alone, or have you tweaked it a little bit?
Well, sure, there's a lot of temptation to leave it alone. And I think there is some tweaking as well. So my personality comes out a little bit in what we do. But I think that the way that we've done things has proven itself to be successful in establishing our culture, our climate in our field house, our expectations on and off the field, our Cougar way, if you will. And so there's really no reason to change any of that. The part that gets tweaked a little bit, I think, is related directly to the strengths of the players and the strengths of the coaches. And that's something that we've had in place as well. Since the beginning, the ability to change what we do or modify what we do to best fit the talents that we have in this building, to fit the things that we're comfortable coaching and understand, as well as what the players are able to execute and strong at.
All right, so you have this semifinal game against Veterans Memorial. They're very explosive. Obviously, you can put up points. Your defense is playing well. Tell me a little scouting report about them.
I think you summed it up. They've done a great job this year. They don't give up a lot of points. They have an explosive offense able to produce. They've done very well in this season and certainly are getting better and better through the playoffs. We I think are doing some similar things as far as being stingy on defense and taking advantage of opportunities on offense. So I think it's going to be a really a tight game, a good competitive matchup between the two of us, and the team that's able to capitalize on opportunities, I think will come out on top.
When did you attend Lake Highlands High School?
So in the late 80s, I graduated in 1990. So my last football season was 89.
What did you learn being at a program like Lake Highlands that was very, very talented and had a great run in football for so long?
The experience was fantastic. It was a great upbringing. We've got several other head coaches that have come from that line that played at Lake Highlands and learned from some really outstanding coaches, really about the commitment, the expectation of success, the accountability that goes into that, and the hard work, the importance of utilizing your really talented players, but also maximizing what you can get out of your your blue collar workers, the lifeblood of your program, the guys that do a lot of the work. And I think that's carried over into my coaching. I've had a really blessed coaching lineage as a player and then as a young coach, and learned a lot of stuff about expectations and standards through all of that.
Stoney, are you a better football coach or were you a better soccer coach?
Well, that's a great question. I hope I'm just a pretty good coach and a pretty observant coach to put players in chances to be successful, because that's really what coaching is maximizing the talents, pushing kids further than they think they can go, and putting them in an opportunity to be successful.
Well, Steve Huff gave me that nugget. He said, one of the things that people don't know about Stoney is the fact that he's one of the winningest soccer coaches. You were at A&M Consolidated, had a great run, 7-time soccer district coach of the year. So what's the difference? I know it's girls soccer and it's football with boys, but is it about the same as, like you said, just making sure you put people in the right position to succeed?
I think that obviously you have to know the sport. You have to know ins and outs of how the game actually works. And soccer is, of course, a little bit different than football. But a lot of it is holding kids accountable, is creating a culture and a climate where success is expected, that we support kids into that success and give them the tools to be successful. It involves drawing in the assistant coaches, the school community at large. And so there's a lot of carryover between the two. Obviously, the mechanism of coaching is a little bit different between girls soccer and football. But all of that stuff really relates to working with kids, with relationship building, and with pushing people to really be better than they think they can be on their own.
You opened up again in that district 27 years ago. And so when that job became open, when Steve decided to leave, you were loyal to the school district, and the school district was loyal to you. How much did that mean to you? And how much do you think you meant to the school district? Yeah.
I think that it was really encouraging to me, but also to our staff and to our kids, that they were confident in the way that we had been doing things, that they were eager to mostly keep things going the same way, obviously not looking for drastic changes when you hire from within. And so I think that allowed some maybe comfort from me, from the staff, from the players themselves, but also an understanding that we've got an expectation, we've got a duty, a responsibility to uphold the standards of the foundation that's already been laid here and to perform really well. And, I'm so proud of the coaches. I'm so proud of the players for getting to this point, but really just showing the character, commitment, sacrifice, and effort that they do day in and day out in practice, in the building, in the community, because these things need to transfer over to the rest of their lives.
What were the expectations when College Station opened up back in, 2012? You started playing football a couple of years later. What were the legitimate expectations at that time?
Well, I think probably from the community, they weren't real high. But from our internal staff, we had a really solid group of coaches that came in. We really connected well with that first group of freshmen and sophomores, with pushing them and driving them and believing in them. And I think that once a player realizes that their coaches believe in them, that their coaches have put them in positions to be successful and to be better, then they start to believe that, hey, maybe we can get this thing done. So early on, we called ourselves the Dirty 30. I think we only had 27 players in the program and pushing those kids. And, the district did commit a full staff from the very beginning to establish our athletic department. And then we were successful in some other programs early on. We weren't a varsity football program the first 2 years, but our school was successful in volleyball and cross country and baseball and then in soccer. And I think that started to spread throughout our athletic program, our school, that, hey, we've got something special here, and we can be successful, and we can set new standards and raise the bar and the expectation for everybody.
Third year semifinalist, next year won the state title. I was there that year. Midway played for a state championship, got beat by Cy-Fair, but I watched you win. And then, of course, last year, state finalist as well, and a team that put up almost 800 points. So you lost your opening game to Lovejoy. We know how good they are. They're explosive. I know that College Station has played Temple, and you beat them in week 3. You have always not been afraid. You've always been unafraid of playing good people. What did you learn that first week? How much better did you get after that opening loss?
Yeah, I thought it was obviously tremendous, and it's propelled us to where we are today. We talked with the kids about the two greatest times of growth in a football program are after the first scrimmage and after the first game, where you really have an opportunity to take stock in where you are, where you thought you were going to be, and where those differences are, as well as perhaps some things that you go, you know what, we can do this. We're not there yet. Obviously, you'd like to win every game, but there's some real benefits to getting beat early on, because in that game, I think we learned that we have the skill set, the talent, the players to be successful, but we weren't there yet. We couldn't just sit back on what we had done before or what we did last year or even our summer work, but we had to keep working towards being better, working towards excellence. And I think our kids saw that. I mean, it was visible. Lovejoy's a really talented program. We had some successes in some areas, but obviously not in the game. And then in that game against Temple, who played really well, that was a really tough, competitive game. I think our kids saw it again, that like we've got a chance to be pretty good if we continue to work, if we continue to pull together as a brotherhood, if we continue to execute and raise our standard day by day and week by week.
By the way, one of the losses, Georgetown in district, you eventually got back at them by winning that game in the playoffs. So what is it like? Coaches are creatures of habit, along with, of course, players. You try to leave everything the way it's been. Is it different when you get this deep? You've been here before. Does it start to get different because of more media requests? And if you get the next week, even more media requests. What's it like right now?
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. There's a lot of other things that could be distracting. We do keep a lot of our rhythm and routine the same, especially with the players, because that's what we're used to. That's the way we're conditioned. Now we're playing on Saturday, so we have a little bit of a wrinkle there. Our practice plans have been modified a little bit. They're a little shorter than they were earlier in the year. They're probably less physical than they were early in the year, because at this point we don't need the conditioning. We need the recovery. We need more brain work. We need more understanding of what veterans is going to give us, or what we can potentially exploit in them. So it's a little more heady and a little more recovery. But we do have this routine. We're going to do the things that we do. There's not reasons to have great changes when what you've done has been successful, and you can improve upon that with minor tweaks. And so I think that's really the approach that we have to our practice plan, to the week schedule, and even to our game plan, what we're actually going to do. We're not going to do wholesale different things each week. We're going to tweak what we do to try to give us a competitive advantage with our opponent.
Stoney, you've done a great job. College Station semifinals, Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial. That's next, of course, in the semifinals. Great teacher, and that's awesome to me. Great soccer coach, great offensive coordinator, and now a hell of a head coach at College Station with the Cougars. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck this weekend.
I appreciate it. It's great to be with you today.
Stoney Pryor with us on the statewide high school football podcast, 365 Sports and Smoaky.com.
Yeah! Are y'all ready? What? Yeah! Y'all ready to play some football? If you wanna look again and let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. If you wanna look again and let me know. I'm about to break this thing up. If you want some, come get some.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears!
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
As we do each week, the last segment, we look at the schedule. Eventually, we look at what Jerry Forrest and Pigskin Prep as far as their predictions on the games, and then a couple of other nuggets to close it out. Thanks again to Jacob Wilson for the graphics and producing and directing our show, our statewide high school football podcast. So we're going to go over every semifinal game. We're not going to get into every game, but we're going to show you the game, the site, the date, all of that, and even time. And we start with Class 6A Division I. Prosper and Duncanville will meet Saturday afternoon at Ford Stadium on the campus of SMU. The winner will get, oh my goodness, how about this? North Shore and Westlake, two multi-state championship programs on a collision course. They're in Houston on Saturday at Rice Stadium. In 6A Division II, Geyer has just rolled through so many teams, including that one against South Lake Carroll. DeSoto, 2 losses, one to a team out of state, and then the loss as well to Duncanville. They play on Saturday at where the Cowboys are, at the Star in Frisco at the Ford Center. The winner will get, I'm telling you, there's some incredible matchups this week, but also potential matchups next week. Another hammer. Katy, 14-0 against Vandergrift. I saw them play midway earlier this year at UMHB in Belton at University of Mary Hardin Baylor. And I'm telling you right now, Vandergrift is as well coached, methodical, precision-like as anybody I saw this year. And I saw some great teams that a couple of them are still playing this year. So that's in 6A Division II. Now, let's go to 5A Division I. Aledo, 10 state titles. Longview has the one recently when Haynes King was a junior, used to be at A&M, now in the transfer portal. Saturday, 2 o'clock. This will be interesting. The Lobos, down last year for their standard, back in the semifinals. Then College Station, who we feature with Stoney Pryor against Veterans Memorial, 2 12-2 teams in San Antonio. 5A Division II, you have Argyle in 5A Division II against South Oak Cliff. They play at Crowley ISD on Friday night. Then, right down at the bottom, Port Neches Groves with a great run they've made against Liberty Hill. They're going to play down in Houston and at Katy at Legacy Stadium. Now, let's go down another notch to 4A Division I. There's Decatur in China Spring. Steve Huff was at College Station, first year at Decatur. 11-3, China Spring and Tyler Beatty. What a run they've made. The one loss was to Parish Episcopal, the state champion in Taps in Texas. They play Friday in Mansfield. I love Newsom Stadium, by the way. Then Chapel Hill and Bernie, the Greyhounds upset Cal Allen. Chapel Hill came back a couple of weeks ago to win a game. They were down big to Lumberton. They come back, and then they beat Kilgore last week in 24-21 in a battle of teams in the same district. They'll play in San Antonio. That was a flip for home neutral. If Chapel Hill would have won the flip, they would have played in Tyler. Bernie won the flip. They're just on the northwest side of San Antonio. They play at the Alamo Dome. 4A Division II. We feature Glen Rose and that head coach, Cliff Watkins, and the job he's done. Hudson White putting up huge numbers, and they now play. He even told me this. We got Goliath coming in. Carthage 14-0. They'll play in Frisco Friday night. Also, Wimberley and Cuero. Wimberley's a hell of a story. They lost Cash McCollum, their quarterback, to China Spring, and they're still in the semifinals in 4A Division II. They'll play in San Antonio. On San Antonio this week. 3A Division I. Brock and Malakoff. Malakoff got over the Grandview jinx, so to speak, or that 800-pound gorilla. Franklin scores in the last second to continue on, the defending champion against Etna. 3A Division II, Canadian. They're always good. Gunner, they're always good. They'll play in Abilene on Friday, and then Harmony 9-5, the run they were on 0-4 at one point, and Poth, they played down at Cy-Fair in Cyprus. In 2A Division I, Hawley and Crawford. This will be a great football game. 2 unbeatens. They play in Mineral Wells Thursday night, and some teams playing Thursdays to get on track for the state championship schedule the following week in Arlington. Timpson and Refugio. Terry Bussey, man, he's an alpha. And Refugio, that whole program's an alpha. Thursday night at Cy-Fair in Cyprus. Also, 2A Division II, new home in Albany. Albany with a great history. And then Mart, we know what Kevin Hoffman and the Mart Panthers and what they do against unbeaten Burton, Reeve Stadium. They'll play Thursday night in Round Rock. Now, let's go to 6-man. This is Class 1A in Texas. They're not playing this week. They had their semifinals last week. This will be next Wednesday at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Westbrook against unbeaten Abbott, who lost their star running back earlier this year, and they've been winning anyway. And they won a huge shootout with Irion County last week to move into the state championship next Wednesday. They'll play at 2 o'clock. The opening game, Benjamin and Lorraine will play in the first state championship game next week at 11 o'clock at AT&T Stadium. These two teams, Benjamin's the only game that did not end up in a 45-point mercy rule was against Lorraine in a loss 61-30. Neither one of these teams has ever played for a state championship, and they will meet in the state championship, of course, next Wednesday. Now, those are the games in the schedule. By the way, earlier I mentioned that Melissa and also Argyle in a collision course. That's not the case. They're not in the same division as I mentioned earlier. But Melissa with Matt Nally, who's done a great job, is continuing to have a great run and of course, had a great run this year. Now, the picks this week from Jerry Forrest and pigskinprep.com. Here are the picks. The number in the right, what that is the number of what is the ranking of the two teams combined. So the lower the number, the more elite games. All of these games this year, all of these games this week are elite. You've seen the games, the highest ranked game tied, Longview and Aledo, Gunner and Canadian, because you're talking about number one against number two. So you have three because they're all in the same classification. That Malakoff and Brock. These are the games going down the list, all the way down to Bernie and Chapel Hill, which is a combined 7. That's the ranking for Bernie, which this week is 1, and Chapel Hill, I think, is at number 6. Bernie is 1. They leaped over China Spring, who now is number 2 because Bernie beat Cal Allen, and they might be playing China Spring early, and next week we'll find out. Now, to keep going down the list, the next level, look at these games. The 19 combined College Station and Veterans Memorial. College Station ranked 5th in their classification. Veterans Memorial has been a great story. 14th, that's a total of 19. So how about Duncanville, Prosper? Duncanville's a pretty heavy favorite in that game, but Prosper sure has been good. And so those are some of the games that we have coming up this week and where Jerry Forrest and pigskinprep.com have them picked. Thanks to Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, the U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company and Captain Kai Kizzy, also Bubba's 33. On my website, you can go there until Thursday at 5 and pick the games. All these games are on there. Every one of the semifinal games, whoever has the best record will then win a $25 gift certificate to Bubba's 33 restaurant in Waco. So get on Smoaky.com. Go to the top, like I think about top, maybe you're just to the right, and you'll see Pick 'em. Click the link, pick the games. You just click whichever team you want in a circle next to the games, and then put your name and email. And if you win a $25 gift certificate to a very great restaurant in Bubba's 33. Thanks to Nathan Watkins and Philip Dunn for that. And, of course, our title sponsor from day one, even 2 years ago. And he's been a sponsor of everything I've done really for years back when I was in East Texas, and now also with Smoaky.com. Here is my great friend, Randy Peters, Peters Chevrolet in Longview, PetersCars.com. For Jacob Wilson, for you, thank you for your time today. Thanks to our sponsors. I'm David Smoak. Semi-final weeks, here we come, and state championship week around the corner, and this is 365 Sports. Battle in the gun with Hill to his right. Play action to the right. Steps up, throws over the middle. He's got Thornton. Caught it! Junior Thornton. Split. 6. Touchdown. Midway.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brought to you by Peters Chevrolet, Bubba's 33, TFNB, your bank for life, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hill, right side, finds a seam. Hill, 20. Hill, 10. Hill, touchdown. Midway, no flags. Midway takes the lead by more than one score. And how about the Big Uglies inside?